Okay, welcome back everybody. The next speaker is Bas Wisselink about Next, which is not just a, as far as I understand you, of Bitcoin, and it's not just a copy. At first it's a complete rebuild of code, but it's more than just a copy and such. So please a big applause for Bas Wisselink.
Okay, thank you. I will tell a little bit about me. Bas Wisselink, come from Amsterdam. In my former life, I'd like to say, I've been maker for 15 years. Don't do that anymore, but I still do like presenting things, standing on the stage. Came into cryptos very late after the boom of December last year, so I'm one of the people that at the first time was interested and then started to get interested in technology. I fairly quickly at the end of December came to NXT. I came late to the party, I'm not one of the first investors, so I'm an investor. And I'd like to basically say, show everyone where we are now. You already heard a bit this morning about the 2.0 crypto platforms, and Next is one of those. I'm just going to show you a lot of things. If you have questions, feel free to answer them, no problem at all. And I'm hoping to make you very enthusiastic, to take away a few ideas about Next maybe, and about crypto in general, where I think that it stands at this moment, that you may have at this moment, and also to make you enthusiastic about the platform and give you some ideas where you can go with Next, but also with BitShares counterparty. It's nearly the birthday of Next. It started last year, 28th of September. That was the first post on Bitcoin Talk by the mysterious coder, which has since Next. Few things about Next. Next is not a proof of work like Bitcoin, like Litecoin, like a lot of coins. Next is one of the first proof of stake implementations. And what does proof of stake mean? It means that at the start of the next blockchain, all coins are created. None will be mined anymore. There is no mining within a proof of stake. So there are 1 billion coins in existence from the start. And each coin can be seen in a proof of work system as a small unit. And the generation of blocks is determined on the amount of coins that are in a wallet, in an account and open. And anyone who has an account open has a chance to get a block. Once you get a block, you have the right and you will receive the transaction fees that are closed in that block. And the transaction fees can be zero, of course, if there are no transactions. But they can also be very high because certain transactions have a higher price. A lot of transactions have a minimum price, but some have higher. That's the business side, basically, of the Next blockchain. So no mining, all coins already made 1 billion, and block made based on chance on the amount of coins in your wallet. We have 1 minute blocks. The idea is for Next to be quicker than the existing blockchain, the existing Bitcoin blockchain. It's an approximation. We don't have enough nodes yet. It's still a growing system to have exactly 1 minute blocks. But on average, we get these. But sometimes, just like in Bitcoin, you have really long times and you have to wait. Another thing that's really important within NXT is that it's modular. One thing that NXT does, it has lots of different kinds of actions. So it has a transaction for payments, but it also has actions especially for messages. These message transactions can be used for messages, can be used for sending data, can be used for a voting system which is going to be implemented soon, All these kinds of things can be done with the message transaction. There is also, for instance, a transaction type which is called the colored coins transaction. And the colored coins transaction allows NXT to have what is called the asset. All transactions are of a different type. There is now also a digital store transaction, which is meant especially for an account-linked store that anyone can use and which is decentrally managed on the blockchain. The idea behind the modularity of NXT, third-party designers can take all these different transactions with them. So you have a payment, you can use a payment. For one of the things that we have, that I will show later, makes use of bullet coins transactions and the message coins transactions and creates them into a nearly trustless, distributed exchange. So no single point of failure. I'll show that later. And the last one is it's not a currency. Is made on the understanding that the coins that we have on these systems, on the blockchain systems, aren't coins at all. We call them coins and use them as coins. But if the idea that they are coins, we get stuck in the paradigm that that's the only thing they can do. Next, the unit tokens, and they are basically agnostic. You can name them anything. The whole colored coin concept is based on that. You can make anything with them. So it's not a currency. It started out as a currency because when NXT came on the end of December, it appeared on exchanges as NXT coin. It was called NXT coin. The whole community was, every time it was shouting it called NXT, but I can understand what has happened. But the tokens are becoming more and more phased out. If I look at the developments that we have in the system right now, you see that it's much more into a kind of fuel for the other transactions that we have, and much less as a currency. So in that, the NXT token, it has been positioned that sometimes it's, oh, we go to the Bitcoin, which is a stupid way to do it anyway. We're not. We're very small. Bitcoin has a huge network effect. Also taking away the idea of what NXT is actually trying to do. The tokens basically give you the right, that's not the right, the opportunity to use the other functions and to use to pay for the transactions. So that's the value of the token NXT. This is the technology tree of all the things that NXT is doing and is going to do. So a lot of things are in development. The brighter ones are done. So we have the asset exchange, that's working. We have a marketplace, the next marketplace, so the digital goods store. We have arbitrary messaging. It's a bit of a weird name. The guy who developed NXT was a Russian, and he translated it directly into English, I think sometimes with a Google translator, and we bothered to correct them. But it's arbitrary messaging is the data transfer system that NXT has. We really should work on those names at some point. And we have an alias system. Those four are finished. All the other ones are in development, some more than the other. We have a very interesting one called Monetary System, which is a side chains project, which will allow you to create coins on top of the chain. And those can be proof of stake coins or proof of work coins. It's even possible to match existing blockchains and import them onto the next blockchain. So if it wants to exist but can't exist on its own, it is possible to implement it on chain and just run it parallel to our blockchain. Contracts, it's a big thing. We have 3 projects, 3 development teams that are working on that. Some are much more limited. Some are aiming at Turing completeness and complete an agnostic system. Other ones are much more limited smart contracts. Account control is one very, we were really waiting for that one. Allow you to lock your account. We have brain wallets. NXT doesn't have a wallet.dat. It has brain wallets, so that means that every account you can get to at any point in in the world, your password is your account. So in the beginning, we had a lot of people who got their money stolen. They got a quick lesson in password security, but this was really not fun because people usually do not know what password security is. And I had to learn too. Account control will help a bit with that. It will allow you to, for instance, lock your account between on certain hours. It will also allow you to make sure that only one person has access to it, so secondary password. So we have very different, all the really transparent ones are set, so are being worked on. And I don't see it right now, but it is an important, oh yeah, it's the voting system that's going to be implemented next. That will allow groups of people to vote on, and you can choose your specific flavor. One coin, one vote. One asset, one vote. One person, one vote. We had so many about the voting system because you always get to what is fair and all kinds of discussions, and we decided we'll implement them all and the user can choose. I think for the developer that was a smart decision.
Could you explain how many developers are working at the moment?
How many developers?
Yes, is it sort of a loose community of developers?
Yeah, we are a decentralized. We have no head, so everybody could join in and start coding. But the core development team is about 8 to 10 people right now. We're getting new people in at the moment. It's hard in a way that Next is coded in Java. So, and Java developers are amongst the most expensive ones you can fill. Lots of these people have job offers all the time, so it's fairly hard to get one because we don't fund our developers. We have a few pro.
You pay them next?
No, at the moment they are working on in a donation system. So the whales, the big holders, do give them money, but it's not institutionalized. So it's not you do this and you get this. So that makes it difficult. We do have a community program that's in development now that will pay out on milestones, because otherwise we'll have, well, the same thing that was told this morning, otherwise you have a problem in getting developers, and then you have centralization. You only have one developer. If he walks away, then you're lost. But you're also dependent on one developer to tell you this is safe. This is, there's no back door in here. So that's 10 things, about 30 people are working on third party. Dave, could you get me a glass of water, please? Current features, aliases. That looks like this. This is the Next wallet. At least on this is the browser version. Assets are unique aliases. So when these were implemented in December, this is one of my lists. I spent the whole Christmas vacation getting a lot of aliases. At this moment you can trade them. You can edit them, you can transfer them, you can point them to places on the internet. It's a really simple system at the moment. It has the possibility to become an, basically what Namecoin is doing too, a decentralized DNS system. That possibility is certainly there. We have the messaging system. This is one way to use it. Basically chatting on the blockchain. You can decrypt them, AES, or you can send them unencrypted. Thank you so much. But this is where the naming convention of our first coder is a bit difficult. Messages predisposes people to say, okay, I can just chat with it. But it's meant as a data transfer. You can send strings over them. And that means you can create software that sends information using the blockchain. That's actually what it's meant for. So again, the message's name is not the most ideal one. So it's possible to send small amounts over the blockchain. We have the place. Every account become a shop, a decentralized shop. Anyone can sell what they want. We already had quite a few interesting materials, and this is also interesting because when you start doing this, you really get into the legality of stuff. One of the first things we knew that was one of the competitors on Bitcoin Talk thought it very interesting to start offering child porn on the blockchain. Of course, he didn't really offer it, but what do you do as a system when these things happen? You can't take them off the blockchain. We refuse to do that. It's open. So it's just one point. All these shares will get it. Ethereum will probably get the same kind of problem. What do you do in those kinds of things? I'm just offering it as a thought because I have no solution. The only thing I'm saying from my point is you can't prohibit it because you'll lose your status as a crypto immediately. You can't say you can't do this. Marketplace works fairly simple. It's an escrow system. So buyer puts something on there, you want to buy it. The amount of coins goes into an escrow. It's basically on the blockchain. It becomes unattached. Then the buyer needs to confirm the payment, and then the transaction is done. And then if it's a physical good like this, like the commemorative pins, which was a small project I did, be shipped, of course. So that's always the next step. You need to trust the person who does it. There is going to be a rating included in this too, which then can be used for other things, of course. And the one that's biggest at the moment is the asset exchange. This is the asset exchange from the wallet. Asset exchange is the colored coins concept. You take 4,000 next, which is about $50 at the moment. You can create an asset with a unique ID, with a certain quantity, and you can also specify decimalization. So you can then it's just discrete units, but you can go up to 8 positions behind the 0. And they can be traded. You can do what a lot of people do with it, of course. This is again a naming convention to me. It's called asset exchange. We started using it for IPOs or for fundraisers for companies. NXT coin, which is now listed on CoinMarketCap at the position 15th, was one of the first ones to do it. They're making a mobile application, and they are growing right now. They raised money for their project to pay people to acquire things they needed. You also see second position, love. That's a big one. Isn't worth anything, but it takes within the next ecosystem, it takes the same position as what Doge does with tipping. So if what someone does, you send him 10,000 love or 1 million, and then you can trade the love again. It's a fun way to. You made my day is in the same kind of thing. There's one which is called the meme coin. Started out like this and now is actually worth 2 cents, I think. So the persons who did the first meme, this is how market works. They become worth money, and your first meme actually makes you quite a lot of cash. Yeah, that's MIC there. Mick. This is what the asset exchange. It's again a naming convention. It's not just an asset. It doesn't. This is an exchange as in a stock exchange. That's one thing it can do. Basically, it's a machine that trades, that exchanges tokens. An asset is just a token again. So in the first use case that I want to show, called the multi-gateway. The multi-gateway uses the asset exchange and arbitrary messaging, so it uses the token machine, let's call it that, and it uses the data transfer to create a decentralized exchange for, at this moment, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Next, and Doge, and it doesn't have a single point of failure. It uses triplets of servers, need to multi-sig before they approve the sending of funds. What people do is they put in, for instance, Bitcoin. They can trade these to the multi-gateway Bitcoin asset on a one-on-one basis. These can be traded to the asset exchange and exchanged to multi-gateway Litecoin asset. That one change one-on-one to Litecoin, and you can take them out to your wallet. At no point is there a single that will hold, that will basically say, if that goes away, it will drop. There's nobody who holds all the funds. There's nobody who can run away with all the funds. It is not completely decentralized. As I said, it's triplets, so it's 3 servers instead of 1. Not completely decentralized, but it's a proof and a working proof of concept of how decentralized exchanges could take every core, and it uses these 2, so the asset and you send a message. That's it. I'm not going to do this one, that was a movie, and it has its own asset for market capitalization, and currently trades at point, I think it's a few 100,000 on CoinMarketCap. The next one is NXT again. It is an asset, but it's also, so it uses, in this case, it uses the asset to do the capitalization, to raise the capital. But the system itself is a mobile application of the encryption of messages on the blockchain. They are aiming at making an iPhone application using the next blockchain to send encrypted messages. Nobody can read them, to be able to destroy these messages, and to make it possible to not, for instance, if you use WhatsApp, that can be read. That's as simple as that. And that's what they're aiming at. That's what they're developing. They think there's a market for that. That's a different kind of using NXT. Currently 15, a few million at this moment. Okay, last one use case is one of my own. It's Lith. It's a multiplayer game using the Next blockchain and using a proof of a side chain to it. It's a sandbox. Multiplayer game, but we will incorporate blockchain technology for storing long data. And we're at this moment going to see where we are going to store the specific data and how we are going to do the real-time things, because some things need to be real-time and you can't do that with the blockchain. Real blockchain, which isn't possible. It also will use Next Asset Exchange to create a link between the virtual world and, let's say, the real-life economy, because we're creating an in-game coin, Lith, at this moment is title, which can be used to buy in-game assets, or you can get in-game assets. But because we have the Next Asset Exchange, which things are listed, they're only used in the game, but they are listed there, you trade them immediately against Next. And Next is immediately tradable against USD, against Euro. So it is actually possible, and this is what we're aiming at, to earn money in the game. If you play it well enough, it's an economic game, the idea is that people should be able to earn money in it, and not just a pittance good money. So it's funded via the Next Asset Exchange. It has an in-game currency pegged, I wrote, but this is one of the difficult things, because how the hell are we going to peg it when it's fluctuating all? This may be different. Data stored on Also, one of the things that we really want to do is that players will be able to run their own nodes. So they will strengthen the game by running their own things. It's just like like any blockchain, the bigger the network, the better it becomes, the safer, the more secure it will become. So players will be actively asked if they want to do, and they will get incentive for that, because we also have the transaction fee thing going. That's the second part. The monetization of the game is not by in-game purchases, what most apps need to do. Free-to-play game, but because on a proof-of-stake system you have every action, you can designate every action that you want to have a fee, a small fee, or good. The fee amount that you get should be enough, and we made models for this, to pay for the service that we need to carry, maintenance, and also for the people who bought the asset is what could be called a dividend, or at least a share what we have. The idea is to see how far we can take this. So you can earn money as a player, earn money as an investor, and we ourselves are covered too. And the game itself has a simple premise. It's an economic game. It's emergent. We will start with a simple set of rules, and most rules are already normal supply and demand things. It will start in a fantasy setting with resources that need to be harvested, blah blah blah, the same things that everybody knows, but the trade is completely free. We're not putting any restraints. If players want to cheat, go ahead, please. If players want to put up a law enforcement or a mob to kill people in-game, go ahead. This is what we want to try. We want to see, we think what will happen, but we hope we are wrong, is that we will get a kind of wilderness. It's the same like on the internet. You get a wilderness where it's very dangerous to go out with pockets of civilizations. This is probably what will happen. But if it doesn't, I'll be surprised and good. If people want to go outside and smuggle things in, this is something we already thought about, great. But if you get caught, you will be in big trouble. The idea, we wanted as developers also to have this, and if you know where the game is supposed to go, the most fun that you could get out of it is seeing, oh, they're doing the things we want them to do. In this way, we're leaving a lot open to chance and to all people trying to break it, but at least it's an interesting journey to go. If I see what happened with Minecraft, which has the same kind of premise, simple things, it's a simple action, just gather resources and build stuff. So many people love the freedom in that. There are a lot of people making penises, but there are also people building the Starship Enterprise, for instance, so that's what you get. These are the, if you want to know more about NXT basic resources, we have a really simple beginner site. We have quite an advanced site with a really large wiki, also if you want to know things about the API. The asset exchange, you don't need to have the wallet anymore. This site AE is one of the things that a third-party developer did. It's a walleted system. You can make an account, just a name and a password. They make your next account. Your private keys are yours. They will never leave your browser at that point, so it's a safe environment. You can put in Bitcoin and buy assets with it, but they also just they struck a deal with Beta, one of the exchanges, and I think they're going to do it with different ones. You can also just buy assets directly with Bitcoin. This is also one of the things I like, because it doesn't force people to use Next. And I don't see any reason why we should, because the system is important, not the thing that powers it. There are more people using Bitcoin. It's a fact of life. It's much better at that, so why throw it away? If you want to contact me, this is my email address, and if you have any questions or want to get, so if you want to get into contact within the community, feel free to ask. That's what I have. Thank you. If there are questions, also feel free.
Are there any questions?
No questions.
Are there really no?
There's one.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Liv. Now, let's say you do get an economy and it starts getting really big. Let's say people build an entire city, trading and doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yes.
What if one day you wake up, you hear a knock on the door, you open it, and you see people in suits standing there like, yeah, we want to talk to you about this game. About the legal aspects. What thing and how are you going to treat those things?
Well, one thing that I know coming is the gambling aspect. This is one of the things when you work with money, what's the rules? The gambling aspect is point one. There is no gambling aspect because it's a game of skill. And it's provable a game of skill. Because there is no chance element involved. So that part I'm not worried about. I'm interested about, and not just philosophical, also, yes, will this happen, is how the virtual world reality link, how legal that is. I know that EVE Online does it already. EVE Online is a very old, it's more than 10 years old space game. It's one of the inspirations for this. And they already have a tenuous link to the real world. You have an in-game currency and a pilot's license with that. And the pilot's license can be traded outside. You can sell that. Basically it's a code. That's not really different from what happens here, because it's also, you could call any little code that's traded to the outside. So we are looking into that part. It's certainly, for ourselves, we're not that worried, but we don't want to get any players into trouble. That's for sure. So we will cover that. At this moment, I need to be clear. That's why I also don't up the game. We're working on the prototype at this moment. That's the first step. If it's actually possible, and this marriage between blockchain and normal game servers. Then we go into alpha stage, and this is something that needs to be done within now and 8 months to get really good legal counsel on that. Actually, I think it's not, at least in Holland, there isn't really a problem as long as we would pay taxes. And the nice thing, as long as it stays on the blockchain and we don't know about it, we don't really care. Once it gets out and goes into your real economy, then we want. I see no problem with that part. I don't mind taxes for that one if that saves us trouble. So in Holland, I don't really. For US, again, yeah, that's always what will the SEC do. Maybe they will see a LITH token as an asset, as a stock. That's a difficult one. I don't know the answer completely, but what I do know is that these things are not illegal. It's great.
So again, on the game with, you were kind of fascinated about how this new economy could enter into with smuggling, other things. Why this one direction of thinking? I would imagine that the opposite holds true, that if this is a game of skill, it might be advantageous to step into the real world, do some rubber hose cryptanalysis of one of your co-players, obtain points, or next, or whatever, other assets, they can use back in the game.
Yeah.
So I was a bit wondering, you only said this one side, the other side.
Yeah.
It seems very possible too, with very negative wilderness entering into the real life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The idea is, like I said, I come from theatre, and one of the things that I've done a lot of theatre sports. And theatre sports is basically competition theatre. It's innovation. And what I love about that is that anything can happen. And I know that the first thing that people like to do when you put them in rules is they want to break. The first thing that comes to my mind is, oh yes, people will try to smuggle. But certainly, I think that there are people that they will try to do good things too. That's why I also say, for instance, there are, if you look at online communities, I've been in forums so long, you see a disruptive group And then there is also immediately a counter reaction where people try to get along and try to make this forum is for this, let's do that. And that evolves. That's not something that sometimes moderators do it, but if moderators don't do it, you see community members start doing that automatically, or the forum dies, also possible. So yes, if people want to take it outside into the then it's great. One of the things that we were thinking about, for instance, a game, I don't know if it exists anymore, that is where you went with your smartphone and you went to do groceries and your game would recognize that, and at that moment you would get certain wood or food in your game account. And the idea of that was that the people would walk the city to get one thing, and then, okay, now I have this resource. Oh shit, I need to get to Amsterdam North because I know that the jewelry. It was actually, and did it, I don't know if it still exists, but that concept I loved because it gets people involved. Then you get the real crossover. One of the things that we also do is to make it possible for people to add things to this game, because that's where the fun is too. So this is open. Yeah.
I do want to press on a little further.
Yeah.
There have been people that have been giving away money by hiding it, and the behavior of people becomes radically.
Yeah.
The parts that happen to have been totally ravaged, gone, preventively replanted. This is what I was really trying to get out of you. You were so optimistic about breaking the rules in the game and everything. Certain things that could happen seriously break the real world without really going outside the rules, but have the parts you don't.
Yeah.
Is the rules really broken when you're entering there? It's not really rule breaking, but
it is disruptive.
Very, in a negative sense.
Yeah. I don't know at this moment. It is these things happen. One of the things that this game upon is that it's constructive, and that even the rule breaking leads to constructive things. That's the philosophy behind it. And from what I've seen, that is what happens. These things that you say are unforeseen. If you actively try to do that, I would say no. You don't try to disrupt things in that way. If you try to disrupt things, you try to do them in a way. But it can happen, and that would probably mean step us, and then we would step in. There's a personal line that you cross, or not. From a developer and from a developer side, I would say it's free. From a personal, I have my limits. It's that simple. But I would address it from that side. I would not address it from a developer side. I would place a personal statement. This is not the kind of community that we want. So please be responsible. It's their responsibility.
Mark did recently. Just like Mark Capellas did recently. Please stop everybody with hacking us.
Yeah. I don't know if that is the one I would choose, but no.
Probably. If you got any idea if the fact that you say that the coins are already there, any idea if it has if it makes a difference your status of it? Because yesterday you weren't here. Yesterday was a conversation about where you could say if the coins already exist or not. It's a little bit difficult to repeat the conversation. But have you got any idea if the next issuer could be considered in legal terms a bank in that sense?
Then you would need to call the Genesis account, because it's the issuing instance is the Genesis account, which has a negative balance of 1 billion. I don't really see a way to pinpoint in this who is this. So plus, as I said, it's not a currency. It's a currency, it's a token. So people may use it as money, but then for me it becomes, if everybody starts using plastic cups for currency, then it becomes a currency. It's for me on the same, I would think that it's on the same basis. we have not gotten into the discussion about whether it is a currency or not. Some people think it is, I don't think it is. I don't even think it needs to be. Now, in a lot of places, it's classified as a commodity. It's still used as money for a lot. So I don't really care at that moment if it's called X or Y. For a legal status, I understand that once you want to get into those discussions, then it's important, but I don't see that happening with Next. For Next, I would predict that the next coin will get more background and all the applications more and more to the foreground. We'll get into that discussion again when we have monetary systems where people can add coins, because then the fun really begins. Yeah.
Are there any more questions?
I end up doing a whole session with them. Seriously, I'll probably end up doing it.
I'll cut you if you're...
Okay.
I'll do it quick. Just on the... Yeah, just on the pamphlet or the brochure that you handed out, it said building other platforms on top of the platform.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious as to how the profits from any future project built on the next project would be distributed first to the community members or anyone else that was originally invested, and then furthermore the current developers or next as an entity itself.
Not. If someone, the only way to get the money back into the system is if you hold coins and if you forge. So the forging is what we named it. So the transaction fees, those are the ones that come back. But if something on Next, a coin, there is not a percentage that goes back via your coin, because the coins aren't shares. So they're just the grease to the machine work. So one of the things that a lot of difficulty in the start, especially in the start in the bootstrapping phase, was we had so empty blocks, almost no transactions happened. So people said, forging isn't interesting because you'll never get your money back. Now, asset exchange and the goods store, now we are starting to see the real, the machine turning and the transaction fees are coming up. It will never be really high, but you can actually now break even and more. And as more applications are being built on it and use all these transactions, that will go up even more. One thing that I didn't say is at this moment we have a limit of 4.6 transactions per second. That's it. Bitcoin has more. It is built to scale. It was said it was built to scale to 1,000 TPS transactions. Turned out that would take some years to do because that's Visa scale. But 100 is pretty easily to do once we have one algorithm which will be implemented end of the year hopefully there, and then you can see that also the transaction fee to scale. So that's the way the people would monetize working on the system. One other thing that people are incentivized to do is run your own server. Because if you have a business and you run on Next and you want to run your servers for free, that's actually the idea the inventor had. You want to run that for free, you make the money back by forging, by running your own part of Next. And it's not meant as a money, it's meant as a break even. So you can run that server, you can run it for free, you're strengthening your own network, you don't have to pay any more for the server, and then you can use the network to build your business. Absolute freedom within what you have here. That's as far as the philosophy that the first developer of NXT had. It's very specifically aimed at people who want to make and use things, and not so much, and I can understand the irritation from a lot of people, not so much for speculation. If you look at Next as a coin, you also see that it's sometimes really irritating because it stays flat. Then it drops or it goes, and then you have a very long time where almost nothing changes. That's fairly weird if you look at other coins. Then it's fun, then you can trade. But with Next, it's 0.1 up, 0.1. It's not the most, it's a good coin for holding, but not trading. I would imagine that people really get pissed off by that one. So, but it is intrinsic in what it wants to do. It's not meant as a currency. It's meant as a baseline and as a for the system.
Are there any more questions? Okay, then please a big applause for Bas Wisselink. So, thank you.
Yeah.
We will have a very short break because we will have one extra presentation. And so please be back.
Which one is the new one?
You'll see. Yeah. So please get some drinks and be back.